Hi folks, this is Jay. I hope you're okay and love to everybody out there. I just want to talk about evolution really, and I really believe that people who believe in evolution have been brainwashed. Um, you've not actually thought it through. You talk to people who believe in evolution and they basically say, how can you not believe in evolution? There's stacks of evidence, stacks of evidence. And I met someone who believed in evolution the other day, and I completely demolished evolution before their very eyes, and yet they still believed that it had tons of evidence. So I said to them, the law of logics, the law of non-contradiction, can evolution answer that? I said, is the law of non-contradiction, is that something that we've invented? Is it a product of the mind, etc.? They said, yeah, it's a product of the mind. I said, well, if that's the law of non-contradiction is a subjective thing, I said, why are we having this conversation, debating? Because it requires some kind of objectivity. I said, so basically evolution can't account for that. Then I went on to amorality. I said that evolution is an amoral system. I said, and you'll object to Christianity on moral grounds, that implies objective morality, but you can't get that from an amoral system. So I demolished evolution on moral grounds. And then thirdly, I demolished it on mathematical grounds. I said, what's the mathematical probability of a cell being produced from evolution? And he admitted it was probably virtually nearly zero. And yet he said, but there's some probability. So it was demolished on mathematical grounds. Then he said, well, we can, Darwin wrote his book, Origin of Species, there's loads of evidence. I said, okay. I said, the scientific method is about repeating and testing things. Can we repeat and test the process of evolution? Can we repeat the test of mutations and natural selection? And he said, no. I said, so we can't even test it in a lab. So it doesn't stand up to scientific inquiry, to the scientific method. We can't even falsify the thing. If I want to prove you wrong, you just say, oh, well, you've got to wait billions of years before you can actually show us that we're wrong. And so this atheist held on to their belief in evolution without any evidence whatsoever. It was just based on arbitrary mantra that science knows best. Because science is against religion, so-called, therefore evolution is part of this ongoing against religion. Evolution must be right. And I was stunned. I was so stunned. And it dawned on me, the reason why they believe in evolution is because they're brainwashed. And every scientist today who is doing scientific work concerning evolution, you have been brainwashed. You are not using your brain. You think you're highly intellectual, you think you're a high-flown academic in the universities as a professor of biology. And all the intellectuals in the West think they're smart, and you think you're really clever, and you think you believe in evolution, and it's fine, and it's a done deal. But the reason why you believe these things is not because you've thought it through, not because you have the evidence, it's because you've been brainwashed. You've been brainwashed by a culture that is skeptical and has given up intelligence, given up real radical thinking, and fallen into a sloppy, monolithic herd mentality where everybody just follows everybody else without really thinking about it. And every once in a while an academic will put their head out of the parapet and speak out, but when they do, they get their head chopped off. Their careers are destroyed because they speak out. Because this is absolute intellectual trash. This has been a scourge on Western democracy. It's been a scourge on Western morality. It's been a scourge on Western policy making. It's an absolute disgrace that any intellectual has promoted this evolution, and it should be banished from the four quarters of the planet. It is a disgrace. It should be kicked out of the universities, and it must be stamped out. And free thinking and free inquiry and free democratic thought and debate should be allowed. That's what's needed today. It needs academics in all the various disciplines to be allowed to think and to challenge and to critique without being slapped down by a small minority, but who control the herd of people who are fundamentalist evolutionists, who are absolutely hell-bent on keeping religion, and specifically Christianity, out of the public domain, and using this evolution as a whipping stick to control public space. And basically it's brainwashing people into a belief that it has no intellectual credibility whatsoever. It has absolutely no intellectual credibility whatsoever. And every intellectual in the West today should be ashamed of themselves for promoting this. You should be absolutely ashamed of yourself. And you need to get down on your knees and repent in sackcloth and ashes and turn away from evolution and begin to develop new models of philosophical, scientific and intellectual inquiry into our origins, to go back and to rethink the whole issue. And when you go back, go and have a look at Genesis chapter 1 and 2, because your scientific method was directly influenced by its understanding of creation there. And there you'll find the answer to the origin of our universe and of mankind. Now, you might jump up and down, and you might, as intellectuals and academics around the world, think, who are you? You're just crazy, or this is just a joke. Is this person for real? Whatever. Yeah. But let me ask you this question, and answer it me honestly. Let me ask you these questions, and you answer them me honestly as scientists. And if you can't answer them, you need to recognize that you've been brainwashed. And answer me this question: can evolution answer the origin of logic, the basic laws of logic? Number 2, can evolution give us a foundation for morality today if it's an amoral system? Number 3, what are the mathematical probabilities mapping out evolution over billions of years at each step of the development of all the various gene variations that we see in all the various biological entities that we see? What are the mathematical probabilities of all this developing, and each biological entity developing? And once you add up all the mathematical probabilities, how intellectually honest is it to go on as an evolutionist when you look at those mathematical probabilities? And fourthly, how can you be intellectually honest if you can't repeat the experiment in the lab and can't falsify the process of evolution? How intellectually honest is that? And isn't it time that you scrapped the whole thing and went back to the drawing board? I'm asking every academic out there to get in touch with those academics who feel the same with you, and to start a secret circle, a secret society of anti-evolutionist academics. Don't tell the academic world what you're doing, and secretly do research in the next few years, and then en masse open a press conference and have your books, articles, seminars all published at the same time. So when these minority academics who have been controlling the debate and bullying everybody else see that you do this together, then you'll have a chance to blow this thing wide open and to give a new future for Western culture, a future of free thinking, of free thought, of open dialogue, open debate on a topic that's been long overdue. If you can't answer those questions honestly, then you need to do what I've just said. Alright? Thank you for listening. And scientists, academics, stop brainwashing the people, and people, stop allowing them to brainwash you. Think, research and study. If you study this, you will find that evolution is a myth, and it's the biggest myth our modern Western culture has been producing, and it's time that we blow this myth apart. Thank you for listening, and take care.